Welcome everybody to Catfish Weekly, presented by Whiskerware Apparel, along with Chuck Davis, and I'm Lyle Stokes. Welcome to the show. Chuck, how is Alabama today?
We got some snow clouds. I don't think it's going to get sleety down this way, but it's probably sleeting on Wheeler right now. But I don't think it's going to get down as far as southeast as my house. I'm not totally sure. I haven't watched the weather good, but the weather's coming in. We did a little bit of fishing Saturday on Gunnersville. It was the first trip with my new fishing partner for the year. We went out, tried some different things, and seen how we were going to work together, and everything turned out great. So we're excited about it.
Awesome, awesome. I can't wait to meet this guy. You've been telling me a lot about him. I'm really excited about it. I think you guys will have something going on. It's going to be somebody to deal with down in your neck of the woods or anywhere else you plan to go, so it looks like a fun time. We are very happy to have Phil Brown's Catfishing with us tonight, and I know, Chuck, that you have a bunch of stuff you want to visit with Phil about, but before we get started, Phil, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
I know that you and I are at a lot of the same events throughout the year, and we see each other quite often, but I've got a question I need to ask you before we get started. What is it like to sit in a boat with Josh Mays for 8 hours?
It's kind of like an 8-hour straight ab workout because the whole time you're laughing so hard because it's just and it's nonstop from catching fish to everything.
Josh Mays is a hoot from the first time you meet him till the last time you see him when you say goodbye and you leave Wheeler Lake. He just is a trip now.
Yeah.
He's truly one of the great guys in the sport, and I'm glad you guys fish a lot together. I know you and him and Jim Gillenwater all fish together quite a bit, and that's outstanding. But I just, being in the boat with Josh Mays all day would be like being in the boat with Bill Parfit and Jason Rath. I can't imagine how much laughing a person would do and still be able to catch fish.
Now if you get all those three guys together in the same area, it's even worse.
I don't think I could get in the boat with all three of them at the same time. I think I'd have to pick and choose, but I'm glad that you and Josh get to fish together. He's a really cool guy. All right, yeah. Chuck, take off and see what you can do with him tonight. Oh. You're muted, Chuck. Chuck?
We usually, when we get going, we say we're going to have a couple of topics, and after a few minutes, we just get off topic and just start talking catfishing. But tonight we want to focus on winter projects and preparing for the upcoming seasons. Have you did any winter projects this year, or anything to your boat, or anything to make changes for this coming year?
Well, after Wheeler, I backspooled all my reels, because last year was all new line. I put all new line on, so instead of putting all new line on again this year, I have an open reel that I backspool on. So, like, I put on 900 feet of line on each reel. So, I mean, there's a good 600 feet that never even sees daylight. So, a lot of times, so I just backspool it, and then that way I use it for 2 years. And as far as everything else goes, I mean, just doing your regular, to your trailer, checking your brakes, your fluid, your repack. I do a lot of repacking on the bearings because that's one thing I hate the most is getting somewhere and then having your bearings cutting through your drive shaft. I've had that happen to me before. That's not fun at all. So
keeping them checked and keeping them greased and all that. And speaking of that, what do you think about these bearing buddies that come out and they're turned blue when you got enough grease? Do you trust that type of thing, or would you rather just use the regular type hubs and check them yourself and have confidence in what you're used to?
The bearing buddies that come with the trailers nowadays, they got that it's like a rubbery cap that you can pull off. I didn't have really too much luck with those, so I went and bought the aftermarket Bear Buddies with the spring loaded. And I tell you what, I've never had a problem. And no matter if I'm leaving to go to Red Rock, which is 10 miles away from me, or going down to Alabama before that boat leaves the driveway, I make sure each Bear Buddy is fully loaded with grease. That way we have no issues. So if that thing's loaded with grease, it has less chance of getting water in there. And water and bearings is your biggest issue.
Right. Are you the type of guy every time you stop for fuel, take a leak, or get a drink, you're walking back here putting your hand down on your hubs to see how they feel?
Every time.
Every time, and then I make sure the motor's down on the transom saver and everything.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's those checks are really important because you can save a lot of money by catching it while it's a little warm and something isn't right, and you may be a little bit late to where you're going, but it's better than not being able to get there at all.
Are you guys familiar with a lot of the new trailers having these greaseless bearings? They're sealed bearings.
No, I haven't heard of that.
Me neither.
I've been hearing about those. I don't know too much about them yet, but I understand that a lot of the manufacturers are now putting a sealed bearing, 2 of them per side, just like a wheel bearing, but they are, you don't do anything to them. You just, when they go bad, you replace them. They just press in and out, and you don't have to grease them. So I'm curious to find out if anybody knows anything about those.
I haven't heard of it. What about the trailer lights? You mentioned those. Do you have LEDs on your trailer?
Yeah, that's the first thing I did when I bought my Big Easy is I took all the halogens off and switched to all the LED because they just don't get hot like halogens do. And when going in the water, a lot of times before I put my boat in the water, I'll unhook the trailer lights. And just, electricity and water doesn't mix either. So,
do you still do that with the LEDs, even though there's not supposed to be any kind of trouble?
Yeah, I do it. It just doesn't hurt,
Are you still on the original set that you installed, or have you had to change out any since you bought the LEDs?
Since I bought the LEDs, haven't had any issues at all.
No trouble, no burnout bulbs. Everything works perfect.
Yep.
I'm on the 5th set for the 5th year.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
So I'm getting LEDs this year. I haven't. I just go to AutoZone and buy the little $26 ones and throw them on, and that's routine maintenance for me. And matter of fact, this time of year I do it every year, and right now I've got this year I've only got one light out, one running light. And I went to try to change it, and it just broke right off. I mean, it's rusted in. So I'm planning on trying to find some that's sealed really good. I don't know if they fill them with silicone or what, but I'm really looking forward to not having to mess with any more trailer lights.
I know one thing that I did when I got my LEDs, the side where the license plate is, on the bottom of it, they've got like a clear panel. And it's not sealed at all. It's just bouncing around. Well, I went ahead and sealed that because I figured, the less water gets in there around it, the less problems I'll ever have. And heck, I haven't had any problems with it overheating or anything like that. And it's still, it lights the whole road up as you're going down the interstate in the middle of the night. So.
Yeah, I've always heard that, if you can't keep the water out, drill a hole to let the water out. So most of the time that's what I do is just drill a couple holes on the bottom of everything because might as well be able to drain it straight on out when it fills up. So it's just it's every year the same thing with these regular halogen lights, and it's going to be a pretty good investment. And they've gone down a little bit, and that's been a problem over the past 5 years. Every year you'll see them go down just a little bit. Now they're really affordable, and most of the time, you see them, everywhere you go. So,
it'll save you money in the long run too. So,
oh yeah,
I have a question. We have a question in chat: is do you wait after a long trip before backing your boat in the water if your bearings are hot? Well, my theory about that is if them bearings are hot, you don't need to be worried about backing in the water. It's too late. If they're hot, if that hub's hot, you done got damage.
Yeah, you smoked them.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's time to start looking for a mechanic around or somewhere to get some bearings and a spindle most of the time.
Yep. Well, that's one thing good about my Big Easy. It's just got a ton of storage. So I've actually taken, I've got a set of bearings in my boat all the time, all the tools to replace them. I've got grease and everything, so in case anything like that does happen on the side of the road, I can pull over, change the bearing out within 20 minutes, and get right back on the road again.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen pictures of guys on the side of the road and their spindle totally gone.
Yep.
Where it's
Toast.
just ate it completely off.
Mhm.
And you don't know it until your tires passing you on the highway. And
That's right.
yeah, and that's really dangerous too. So
You get to talking about a while ago. You guys are talking about stopping it. Every time you stop to check them, I lay my hands on them. If they are hot at all, if they are anything more than just mildly warm, I'm ready to pull over and pull them babies apart and find out if they just need grease or if they need bearing. Get it done before you're stranded on the side of the road, because them old boys that are sitting up there waiting for you to break down, they're going to rape you when they get you into their shop because they know you got to go. There's no question about it. If you're stranded on the road, you got to pay whatever they want to get that fixed, and if you got to be towed or something like that, it just makes it that much worse. And something that might cost you $25 or $30 to fix, it costs you several hundred by the time you get out of there.
The one place that it happened to me in I think it was Dubuque. Yeah, it was in Dubuque, and I was fortunate. I can't remember the name of the place, but they brought us in, and he actually let me work on it inside of his shop. And I could be so thankful, and I needed the parts. I didn't have nothing to do the job, so they actually let me borrow their service truck to go get the bearings. And all he charged me was an hour's worth of labor. And,
Can't beat that.
Oh, I was very, very thankful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
okay, us guys that fish during the wintertime, and we may leave in the morning. It may be 20 degrees. We'll go fish all day. By the time we get home, it may have got a little bit above freezing all day, and it's sub-below temperatures again. Is there anything special you like doing to your boat after use during the wintertime to keep damage down from frozen water or anything like that in your prop and your tanks and stuff?
Well, I used to take RV antifreeze with me, like every time we went down to Alabama. That's my winter fishing is when we go to Alabama. Or I'm going to try to scoot down to LOZ here shortly, but I used to take 4 jugs of RV antifreeze with me in a 5-gallon bucket with a hose hooked to it with the muffs. And I just found out from the dealership there in, I believe it's Keokuk. You might have to. Is it Dave's Marine, Lyle?
Dave's Marine.
Yep. The Bainey came over to me at the Winter Blues, and he said, as long as you tilt that motor down all the way, let it drain out as much as you possibly can, and then give it 5-10 minutes to drain out, and then just turn that motor over for maybe 5 seconds, not long at all. And that'll clear all the water out of your motor and everything, which I didn't know that. And he goes, yeah. He goes, them Mercs, they're good, tough motors, and they, and he told me to do that. And you know what? Never had an issue since. So
I've never turned mine over. I've always let you all down, as far as I could go.
Yep.
But
that's the way I do it. But if Mike Bean says that's the way you need to do it, you can take her to the bank, because old Mike, he knows about motors and anything else. He's just the greatest guy that ever was, and very helpful and friendly, and sells a lot of boats. And he helped us. So we was having issues one time at a tournament the day before a tournament. Told us to bring it up there in just a few minutes. He had us going. He's just a heck of a guy.
Okay.
Is there anything
Yeah.
you like doing to your electrically to your boat, to your battery terminals, or any kind of connections to your boat to yearly to make sure that your boat's ready?
I'll take all the cables off the batteries and I'll run that the post cleaner on it, clean it all off. I'll take a wire brush all my connectors. That way you have good metal to metal contact. My father-in-law, he and my wife, they run that automotive shop. So if it comes down to getting anything screwed up on the boat, and mechanically wise, then I hear about it from them. So so I gotta keep on my toes when it comes to that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
yeah.
The guys that leave their boats outside but winterized and leave their trolling motor batteries in their boat, and would you recommend them leaving them on a trickle charge all the time, or just let them be? And also, even though if they say maintenance free after charging them all the time, do you recommend people keeping a check on their water and their batteries if there's caps on them where you can check the water?
Yeah, I'd say check on the water at least once a month and put them on the trickle charge. That'll just make sure that battery stays charged the whole time. Uh, from what I was told from the interstate battery dealership is that when you get a battery and it goes up, down, getting charged and then getting drained low, I mean that'll take a life out of the battery just in a matter of a couple of years. I mean, and the batteries I'm running now, God, they're probably 4 or 5 years old, and they're still, still going good. So
Yeah,
must be doing something right anyway.
I had one. I came home, my trolling motor quit acting right about throughout a half a day, and usually with that one I've got, the Power Drive 2, I can get 2 full days off of it.
Hmm.
If it's not fighting current really hard. And through about, all of a sudden my trolling motor was on speed 7, trying to keep up in 2 mile an hour current. And I got home, checked both batteries. One of them was down around 9.5. The other one was still right at, almost 12. So they're right at 5 years old, both of them. So I guess it's time. And people say that wintertime kill batteries. I guess if they just sit around, I don't know. But that seems like every time I have battery trouble, it's when I go to use my equipment after a long winter. The
Hmm.
batteries when I start having my battery trouble.
Yeah.
And even when I use equipment year round, my truck, during the winter, that's usually if I'm gonna kill a battery, it's usually in the wintertime when a battery goes out on me. So,
Yeah.
batteries are something that break your wallet. So I try to keep them maintained as much as possible, um, because they can really put a damper on your budget if you've got something planned and have to end up spending $120 on a battery to go fishing that weekend that you didn't have in your plans.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yep. Especially if you got to buy three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That
really
really hurts.
bad. Yeah, even if you go cheap, with tax and all, I don't see how you can get out there for less than $100 per battery anywhere,
Hmm.
because they're just so outrageous these days.
It's about
I mean,
right.
that's one thing I haven't seen yet is somebody, go for is go for a battery sponsor. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea. My father-in-law, he does interstate batteries, so I mean, I get all that at cost. And I mean, and our deal is as long as I do the work, I don't get charged for it, which I'm happy for because I'd rather do the work. That way I know it gets, that way I know it gets done and stuff like that. But I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt for somebody to go after, like, say, Interstate Battery or something like that as a sponsor. Some of these guys need to start reaching out there and just taking a shot. You know.
You got, that's, Steve Douglas. He got that chocolate drink this week. So, more people are thinking outside the box instead of
Hmm.
going after the same rod holder guys, the same tackle guys, beating Lyle's door down trying to get a rod sponsor from him.
Yep.
These guys can go after Geico, Progressive, you got boat insurance companies. battery companies, tire companies, you know, towing vehicle companies, just like the bass guys. If you're targeting, you know, people between 25 and 50 years old, mostly males, which is that's what's in our sport. You know, anything that targets men through that age group, would be a good idea to go after them.
All right. And
Because
I mean that all comes down to getting prepped and ready for, you know, if you go get a tire sponsor, boom, there's your trailer tires and for your vehicle as well.
right,
You know, your batteries for all your truck, your boat, everything. I mean, all that, every little bit helps. And, you know, all you're doing is offering advertising for them. So,
oh yeah, and
heck,
especially, you know, if it's a home lake for you or a tournament, and you know, like the you know, Aaron Wheatley at Monsters Ohio, he had that deal with the marina up across the river, and we took a boat up there, and I mean they were very busy getting cat fishermen ready, guys boats going down pre-fishing, and you know, Aaron sponsors up there just taking care of every one of them, in and out, in and out.
mm-hmm.
Um, you know, so that's what it's all about. Get these sponsors that's really going to get involved, and that can really put something on the table. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the ones that pay off. They get their return on investment, and you know, get a great name to go along with it.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
there's something else about that. I know Phil goes down to Wheeler a lot. You know, so if Daniel has somebody that like Aaron's got that will work on boats and stuff, as many times as Phil goes to Wheeler in a year's time, if he runs into boat problems and he goes to that guy one time, he's going to tell everybody that has boat problems, this is the guy to take it to.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So,
without a doubt.
you know, it's the same way with Aaron. Chuck, if anybody contacts Chuck about where you get your boat fixed down there in Owensboro, he's going to tell them, go see Aaron's guy. He's the man that's going to fix you up. And he's right, because that guy knows them tournaments are going on, and he's going to take care of you because he wants you to tell the next guy that has trouble, and the guy after that, and the guy after that.
Yeah, and
Yep.
they've got a yard full of boats being waited to be worked on. And during those few days, they start working on all of the boats that are sitting out there and taking care of the tournament guys that are coming in town to boost their economy. And you know, that's a great thing they do when they do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, see, that's the guy I go to up here in Des Moines. Heck, I mean, he's a good guy. Me and him's got to work out a deal to where, you know, if something breaks down on my boat, I got a tournament in a week, you know, as long as we've got it worked out, as long as I pay cash, and he'll give me a certain percentage off, and he'll get me in the door and out of there as fast as, you know, as fast as I can, you know, before everybody else. And I really appreciate that. And our deal is, you know, I just tell everybody, whoever has boat problems, about him, and, you know, and then it's a pretty good deal we got worked out.
You
I
know,
like it anyway.
That's what I've done with everybody that you know, when there's a lot of catfish tournaments from Quincy, Illinois to Burlington, and even way further up there. But Mike Bean, like we was talking a while ago, if you got a problem and you can't get any, Mike will take care of you. He
Yep.
is as busy as he is. He will take a tournament guy in and get him fixed. And it's not just Mike. It's a lot of others, but he sticks in my mind because he took care of me when he didn't have to, you know.
Yep.
And he sponsored some tournaments, and he's a great asset to the sport of catfishing. So, you know that kind of guy is a guy you want to be tied in with. And Aaron Wheatley says Tyler Boats is his guy, and Jim Tyler is the man. And I'm assured that is correct information.
Oh, yeah. Old Wild Man Wheatley.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil, on your electronics and all that, you got your boat set up, or do you plan on making any changes here pretty soon on any kind of electronics or anything you got going on?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've been trying to get upgraded the last probably a couple of years, but somebody's been putting a hold on me. So I'm still working on that. I got I do want the 12-inch Lowrance, but I just personally I don't see the use for it right now. I got the 8-inch. It's got the down imaging side. It's a LS or LSS1, but it does good. I want to end up taking that to the back of the boat and then just use it for down scan and then probably some my mappings. That way I don't have to look back at all the time, and then maybe put like a. I've been looking at those Lowrance. I think they're 7 inches, but they're the real long, wide ones. I've been thinking about probably mounting one of those up, and I'd have to give old Vince Nadowski give it a call and see what he can do for me. So just haven't. Wife hasn't said for the go ahead for that one, so I'm working on it though. Oh, can't hear you, Chuck.
I was wanting to get the HDS 12 Gen 2 stuff. It was going on sale for $18.99 with the LSS 2 transducers and stuff, and I decided I was wanting to get a couple other things except just a unit. So I decided I bought from Vince, and I just talked to him. He says, "What do you want to do?" I told him what I wanted to do for a unit, and that I was having trouble seeing the 7-inch screen, and that had always been trouble for me because I really need to be wearing glasses, but in the boat, I don't get along with contacts one bit, and I just needed a bigger screen. And the way Helix came in with these lower prices and offered a 10-inch screen, in my price range, man, it was just right at the right time. And I've been using that 7-inch screen for 5 years, and been dealing with it because I hadn't had the money. But it's upgrade time, and I'm going to link them together and use the 7-inch screen for my GPS and full screen with the other one or whatever. So that's my upgrade over this 5-year period.
Okay. But, I'm right there with you, man.
I mean, I'm the type of guy, if I buy something, I'm gonna use it until it feels like ancient. I mean, so that 898, it served its purpose, and it was like $1,300 when I bought it. Now they're on the bass boat forums, they're going for about $400, the whole combo that somebody's took off their boat with 200 or 300 hours. So Cabela's had the 999s on sale for $599, and that just tells you how much. Yeah, it was the 899s they had on sale for $599. So the Helixes just drove them prices down to nothing on the resale of these other units. So guys that really can't afford anything, if they will want to buy a used one, now's the time to buy, because these guys are wanting this new technology. And I've seen 1198s and 1199s going for $700 and $800 on the bass boat forums.
I know if you could run into some good deals, that's where it's at. Seems to be right now. Friends with a lot of bass guys lately for some reason, but I mean it's good because I've learned a lot from them guys as well. As far as them trading their units out, I learned something the other day. Is a guy said every year he checks his the bolts that mount the motor to the transom, because he had one go loose and he's going down the road and all of a sudden his motor pops off the back of the boat.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I never even thought to even check that. And I went back there, and sure enough, I had one bolt that was loose.
Wow.
And I thought, well, that's something to check too,
Yeah.
every year. So
mine's Teflon threaded, and I need to go check them bad boys out.
yep.
You said that you had oxygen on your live well?
Yes.
Is that something that you did for a winter project after you got your boat, or did it come on your boat?
It's my boat is strictly a pleasure. I call it's a pontoon boat on crack
Right.
because it's got the bench seats, it's got tons of storage, and I mean, but it's got 60-gallon live well on it, and it's I was kind of hinting I've been wanting the oxygen and finally purchased that Keep Alive system, and all I got was the bubble oxygenator and then the tank and then the tubing and the what do you call it? One of the
Regulator.
what they're called. Yeah, one of the regulators. And I tell you what, it went from every fish I put in my live well, they were throwing up in there, and when I pull them out, they looked all beat up. To now, you open up the door in the live well, and they look like they're sleeping in there, and they're just so calm. And until you go to pull them out, and then they just beat the hell out of you.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's something I was wanting to check into doing. You know, you did that for a winter project.
Yep.
So that's something that guys could look into to get their stuff ready for this upcoming year is an oxygen system that can really.
Chuck must be having connection problems down there. One of the things, Phil, that I know about oxygen tanks is that we run one a lot of times, and people think that it's really expensive to do. Well, you don't have to run medical oxygen. You can run regular oxygen just like you do on a acetylene torch set, and they work just as well. And you don't put much oxygen to them. People, for some reason, think you need to run a whole bunch of oxygen, but basically, all I ever do is the lowest setting that it's on is more than enough. There's no sense of cranking them up and using a bunch of oxygen. The reason my oxygen tanks are always empty is because I forget to turn the damn things off, and they just run out.
Yep. Well, I use mine. I make mine. I got all mine interchangeable. That way I can take it out of the boat real easy. And a lot of times, like we have tournaments here in Iowa, it's either chubs or shad is your bait. Like I'll go to my bait shop and I'll get 3 or 4 dozen chubs, and I'll put them in it's about a 75 quart cooler, and I'll throw that oxygen tablet in there. And hell, my chubs, I can have them for 2 or 3 weeks, and not a one would die.
Have you ever been up to the Cat's Incredible tournament up in North Dakota or Grand Forks?
I haven't, but I've fished up there before. And
well, there's a big Cabela's store. I believe it's a Cabela's store that's right there beside the boat ramp where they launched them out of there, and they got huge suckers in there. I mean, they're the biggest suckers you ever seen. And when you go in there and purchase those things, and when we was up there, they was very reasonable on their bait and stuff. They was trying to get people in to sell them stuff, of course, and they was very reasonable on their live bait. And they injected oxygen into plastic bags and then sealed the top of them with the water, the oxygen, and the fish in them. And we never lost a fish the whole time we was up there. Oxygen's a great thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it may cost you right off the bat a little bit of money, but, I mean, in the long run, they're cheap to fill up. Like, I can go take my little bottle, fill it up, $25, and I'm still in the same bottle that I was when I first bought the system. And
right.
that was 3 years ago. So I mean,
yeah, if you don't forget to shut it off, it'll last forever.
Yeah,
Justin Wolf wanted to add that smaller bubbles, the better, and that's correct. Any kind of diffuser that you got, the smallest bubble that you can possibly get in there, the better off you are. And that just it's a great thing. It's so good for the fish, and like I say, if you get one that's wore out, when you go to take it out of weigh-in, it won't be. And I know a lot of the guys like Brad Kilpatrick and Alex Nagy and some of these guys that are using storage tanks at the tournaments. When they put them in, they put a little bit of oxygen in them tanks, and they're ready to roll when that tournament's over, and they're releasing them fish back to the rivers. Them fish are a handful again. So It's a great thing for preserving the fish for the sport.
Oh yeah.
Are you back with us now, Chuck?
Oh yeah, my dog took my whole computer and everything out.
Good dog.
I didn't know what was going on. Stuff flipping everywhere.
Plus I got in mind where my diffuser is. I've got a pump, just a cheap pump that I bought from Menards up here, and it's just a recirculator pump that I've actually zip tied above that diffuser, to where when I turn that baby on, like if we go, and I'll use it for if we do any kind of traveling, trailering with fish, I'll hook that pump up to my batteries, and that way it creates current in the water, plus it spreads those bubbles out throughout the whole tank. That way, and another reason they beat the hell out of you when you get to that. When we were there for that Winter Blues tournament, I mean, granted we only caught two fish during that tournament, but the one was 53 pounds. I mean, it made me feel good when they got done weighing him in. They didn't put him in the holding tank because he was so lively, and they knew he'd be okay just turning loose. So I mean, that made me feel good.
That's exactly right. And Scott Woody wanted to know what size oxygen bottle that you used, and another guy wanted to know how long they last. And how long did you say you'd had your tank in your boat?
I've had in there, I think, 2.5 years.
And not filled it?
No, I haven't filled it. I filled it once. And I mean, like you, I use the lowest setting.
Yeah.
And I mean, my rule of thumb is if I get anything over 40 pounds in my boat, that's with one fish, that's with 5 fish. It doesn't matter. I turn the oxygen on, lowest level, and just let it run the whole time the fish are in there. Just my biggest fear is killing the fish, and I haven't done it yet, and I don't want to start, because I mean that would just to kill any like monster fish, that would just I'd really seriously think about quitting, because I don't know if I could take killing big fish.
I understand. So, what size bottle do you have?
Oh gosh,
it's not a great big one, is it?
No, it's just I think they sell 3 sizes on Bottom Dwellers, don't they?
Yeah, I think so.
And I think it's the middle one, the medium size one.
You've got a Keep Alive bottle. Keep Alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those are fine, and they're great. They're a great product, but you could just go down and get one from your local oxygen welding supply. It's just as easy. But those bottles that they're you own it. You can get it filled any place if you buy one of those. That's the key to that. You don't have a lease or nothing like that. And while I'm on the subject, I'm not cutting you off, Chuck. Don't misunderstand me. Jason Mathena says he likes the oxygen. He can breathe it very well without it. So, we only get Jason in the chat once in a while, so we got to cut him in whenever we get a shot.
Yeah. No. Other than that, right. I mean, a lot of it's, I'd say, the main part is I just save. I save money any which way I can. A lot of people think, oh, you got a big boat, you got money. Well, no, that's not the case. I work a bunch of hours, and I save anything I can. Just like bagging ice. We moved to this new house, and hell, we got a big refrigerator with an ice machine. Well, I've got 3 deep freezers in the basement, so I'm going to use them, because to run one of them deep freezers is going to cost me, I think it's like $40-something a year. Well, hell, I bag up all my ice in the wintertime, and I fill that deep freeze. That way, it's not costing me $6 to $8 for, a bag of ice whenever I go, try to go fishing. Hell, I can just fly that deep freeze, and every little bit counts, So.
Yep.
But.
Well, it's like me freezing gallon milk jugs. I freeze them all the time, and they work out really good. Where do you mount your oxygen tank?
It is underneath my passenger side. I don't know if you want to call them. They're not really captain's chairs. They're the bench seats. And what I did is I got 2 huge 4-inch clamps, and I melted the clamps to the inside of that storage, and I put rubbers over the real thick rubbers over the screws that way, and then I put wherever I put the clamps at, I took electrical tape and ran around that bottle so that clamp's not digging in that bottle, and just tighten them down, and then she's all sitting there, and all I did is I just drilled through my boat to the live well and just ran the clear hosing. So I mean, nothing special. It works for me. So
I stand ours up and just wire tie it to the base at the bottom, and then wire tie it to the in that tracker. I wire tie it to the rod rack, and it don't ever go anywhere.
Yeah, heck yeah. But I'd say that's probably a big. If I'd say any kind of investment on a boat, that oxygen would be one of them. So.
Oh, I agree. It's something that people that are conservation minded about saving fish, oxygen is probably one of the best investments that I can think of to preserve the quality of the breeding size fish. Wouldn't you say, Chuck?
Yes. Yeah, that's something that I'm working on getting together next. First, I got to figure out a good layout in the boat for my new partner. He's got some limitations, and he can work around them really well. I'm just going to help him out a little bit better working around them, because he's the way I can barely get around my boat as it is. So I've got to do something with my live well set up, and then after I get that done, for sure, oxygen's next for me.
Okay.
Heck yeah, you'll love it, man. Yeah, well, I say you'll love it. You might not love it when you pull that monster out of that live well and he slaps you upside the head with that tail. But everybody else is going to love that.
Oh yeah, that right there would, not having to worry about your fish through the tournament, where you can actually keep fishing instead of babysitting, because I've actually caught fish right off the bat, and you just feel like you're babysitting the rest of the day. Instead of concentrating on culling those fish, catching something bigger, you're so worried about keeping what you got healthy, and if you can get those oxygens, and stuff like that hooked up, it eases your mind a little bit. You can keep fishing all day, stay in the competitive mind instead of babysitting mode, and maybe you can cull those fish many times instead of just babysitting the ones you got.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, Lyle, you got any winter projects that you've got done or you fixing to work on before you get kicked off here?
Well, reels and stuff, this is a great time to do maintenance on all your rods and clean them up and put a coat of wax on them, which kind of keeps the yuck from sticking to them for a while. Of course, I do that 2 or 3 times a year.
What kind of wax you use, Lyle?
What I use is Turtle Wax High Gloss.
High Gloss.
Yep, that and Rain Dance, whichever. If one of them's on sale, I'll buy either one of them. I like the Turtle Wax. It seems to be a harder wax. I don't know if it is or not. It may just be me, but that's the stuff that I use for years.
Is it a paste or is it like a liquid hardener?
I've used them both. I prefer the paste better, and it's just my own opinion, but both of those go on very well, and they come off very easy. Now, it's not like the old days when we was kids, and I know, Phil, you remember, so do you, Chuck. You go out in the sun and you wax your car, and you couldn't hardly get that crap off of there. Well, these days when you're doing fishing equipment, whether it be your reel or your rod or whatever it is, you're in a controlled environment most of the time, in a garage or a house or something. That sun ain't beating down on you and burning it into the finish on them, so they're a lot easier to take on and off, and just scrub them up a little bit. You won't get all of it off, but you can make them look pretty good, and it works the same on fishing reels. We've got some 6,500 Abu Garcias that, other than oil in them and a little grease once in a while, new line on them. You put a pawl in one once in a while, maybe some bearing will go out every once in a while, but you just take that wax and you go over the sides of them, and it won't make the sun bleach part of the paint come back, but it'll make them look pretty and shiny and new. And when you pull into a place, everybody thinks that you got new equipment, and really it's the same stuff you've had for years and years and years. So, but yeah, and I know Billy Ray, a lot of you guys follow Dwayne on Facebook. He cleaned up his cork handles, and he may have done some for Jason Mathena here a while back, but he had pictures on there, and he got some stuff, and I keep it here. I've been using it for about a year. It's called Cork Saver, I believe is the name of it, and if you take and lightly sand your cork stuff, and put this stuff on there, and only put one coat on because it'll only sink in so far, and if you put more coats on, it's just going to run off. But it will, all cork has filling in it. That's how you keep it from having big old holes and stuff in it. Sometimes the holes in the cork's not big enough, it's worth putting filler in it, and other times it is. But you put that stuff on there, and it kind of holds that in place, and it makes them easier to clean up when you get scales and guts and slime and stuff on them. So that's a very good product to use too. But I never use anything much harsher than dish soap and warm water. Sometimes a nylon brush. Never anything, no wire brushes or anything. And you can go over your cord or your cork or foam grips and stuff, and it won't hurt it. And the cork, though, a lot of times you'll need some to light sand it and then put some of that sealer on it, and you'll be happy with that. But now's the time, if they need oil or grease or new line, like Phil said, it's the time to do it. And I'm not a guy that goes out and sharpens hooks. I know a lot of guys, they keep a file in and they sharpen hooks all the time. If my hook's dull, it's done its job. I'm pitching her out and I'm putting a new one on. Even if it's a $3 or $4 hook, once it gets dull. Now I do take all my hooks out of the package, and a lot of times I'm tying up rigs. And in the winter time, it's a perfect time to tie rigs up, and I put them in the small baggies. They're not sandwich size. They're the next size smaller, and I don't remember what they call them. But I'll tie a rig.
Snack bags.
Yeah, snack bag. And I'll put them in there and seal them up. And then I put them in one of them folders, 2 or 3 of them in each leaf of a folder, and I do 8s and 10s and whatever size I want to use. And, of course, I use the big river hooks for drifting, back bouncing, and they'll go in a different section. But you can get all that stuff ready right now, and you don't have to have tons of it done because invariably it won't be the rig you want to use when you get on the water. But, if you're all broke off and you get one tied on right quick, you can do it. Everything's good to go. Another good thing to do in the wintertime, and I don't know if you guys do it or not, but if you make your sinkers, now's the time. Get you a well-ventilated place, find you some bulk lead or wheel weights or whatever like that, and knock that stuff out. I don't know. Do you make your own lead, Phil?
Yeah. Yep. We were fortunate. My brother lays flooring for a living. Well, he was laying flooring in a hospital in Iowa City, and they happened to be redoing the hospital. Well, I guess the processing place in Iowa City didn't take scrap lead, so they were just going to throw it away. And next thing you know, here come my brother with, he brought back 5 loads, and each load had probably 400 or 500 pounds of lead with it. So we got lead for life.
That's cool.
He keeps on wanting to sell it, and I'm like, dude, we're not selling nothing.
Well, you can't replace it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You can't replace
it. And you're never going to get retail cost out of lead, selling online or nothing like that. So, he saw a couple bait shops where, a 16-ounce weight was going for like, $3 or $4, and I said, you're not going to get that much out of that, you know. So I said, let's just hold on to it. Wait till that lead gets up there like gold prices, then we'll think about selling it.
You know, it used to be that you could go get lead about any time from anybody, especially at old tire shops. They'd have buckets full of it sitting around. And when they ended up putting lead on the precious metal list, that changed things dramatically.
Yep.
Now, I still have a couple of contacts where I can get some, but you know, instead of being able to make a drive to town and hit 2 or 3 tire shops and get all you wanted for the summer, them days are kind of gone, and you're probably going to have to pay for it now, which is okay. I really wouldn't mind doing that. You know, and I'm not saying that it's sometimes it may not be feasible to make sinkers. You might be able, if you're not making a ton of them or you're not planning on losing a bunch of them, it might be as easy and as what you'd be well off to get a hold of some of these lead suppliers and just buy them for them. But where I fish, and you're very familiar with what we do, 20 and 24 ounce sinkers is not uncommon where we fish. And you know, Phil, one of the things that gets me is people think they got areas they got a lot of current. Until they get to where we're at, they ain't seen current, have they? You know, and, you know, they're. I read a post today, a guy said, we got a lot of current, 6, 8, 10 ounce weight. I said, shit, we're using 24 ounces and a half a skipjack, man.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But, you know, unless you've been there, you don't get it, you know.
I remember one time last year we were fishing it was a blowout that I think they made them for sturgeon up the Missouri River. Right. And we actually went up in behind that blowout, and I mean the speedometer on the boat was showing we were going 10 miles an hour because it was going through there so fast, and it took 24 ounces of weight just to get it down a little bit past the boat, and it was just because we seen one fish down there at the bottom of that blowout. Yes, yeah. Because we knew whatever it was big. But
well, you know, the Mississippi, especially the Missouri, and I understand that they're not going to redo any of the dikes. They'll eventually blow out. It's going to get really wild and woolly. But a lot of times, especially in the spring when the water's up a little bit, I'll target a spot that I want to fish, and maybe it's off the end of a wing dike, or maybe it's on the inside where one of the blowholes are at, and there's a tree down there. And you really got to watch it because you'll throw it over there to where you think it's going to go down. And by the time it hits bottom, it's way, way past that. Yeah. With 24 ounces of weight, and people say, oh, there ain't no way. Well, that current will take that 24 ounces of weight, and it'll just zing it on down past whatever you're trying to do. So, like I say, and most people don't understand it until you fish them kind of waters with the kind of current that we do. And I know you get it up there, too. It's just unbelievable for a lot of people to realize the current that we got. And I love the current. I mean, the more there is, the better. And I'll tell you, them blues, they don't care how much current you got.
Yeah.
They like
the more the better. It seems like it.
If they get tired, they'll go in a spot and rest for a little bit, and they'll go right back out there to it.
Yep.
You know, so. But, yeah, the sinkers making and cleaning up your stuff and getting it ready. New line, I can't stress how important new line is for people to get around. I've got some big spools of braid, and we buy the mono that way to make leaders out of, too. And now, I was going to tell you, I don't sharpen hooks, but when I'm making these leaders up and stuff, and I open a package of hooks, I'll take every one of them and make sure that every one of them is sharp at that time.
Yep.
You know, and they might be a burr on it, or it might not be sharp as I want it to be, and I might hit it with a file that I use on guides or something to make sure it's where I want it. But rarely you have to do anything to them. But that's the time to do all that stuff. Go through your tackle boxes. If you use float corks, see if you got the right one. See if you got enough of them. Sinker slides.
The balloons work good too.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm anxious to try that. I want to try that this year. I haven't done that. Larry Muse and Steve Douglas done a video on the dragon tail thing that Larry designed here sometime back. Very good video. Now is the perfect time to be getting you some old shot out of an old bag or something for you guys who used to reload shotgun shells and make you some of them. I think that's a great tool. I really do. It's an awesome thing. Here's something that I done not very long ago actually. I got the nets, the cast nets out of my boat, and I laid them out on the yard and went through and made sure all the repairs was made to those cast nets. Those babies are high, and if you use them very much, you're going to snag a hole in them once in a while. Sometimes they're little bitty holes, sometimes they're great big holes. If they're not worth fixing, peel the lead off of them, melt that up, make your sinkers. If they are, if they're small holes, usually mine end up tearing around the lead line, and that's a very easy fix. Just get you some monofilament and just tie it down to that lead line and go ahead and use them up. I mean, till they're non-repairable, because them things cost so much money. You need to use them all you want. I just we go through 3 or 4 a year, and I'm sure you guys do too.
I used to, but now it's hell with Bass Pro, and they got their deal now to where you can buy a, up here in Iowa it's a 5-foot net, is the biggest you can have. So up here, I go to Bass Pro, buy a 5-foot net, and how Bass Pro sets up to where you could buy a $15 2-year warranty for that net. Well, anybody knows that a net's not going to last you 2 years.
No.
So, heck, if you get it taut, all you got to do is bring back the box and a piece of the net. It could be the actual black rope that comes with the net. It could be some of the net, anything. All you got to do is bring it back, and how they got it set up to where all you got to do is buy another 2-year warranty, and you basically get a free net for $15.
Wow, that's a heck of a deal. I didn't know anybody done that.
Yep, I've been doing that for. What's that?
Bass Pro Shop.
Yes, sir. Yep, and I learned that from Johnny Coleman. So
cool.
He told me about that, and I tell you what, that's saved me quite a bit of money too.
Well, heck yeah. And we all destroy those nets. And I'll tell you something that most people may or may not know. When I destroy a net, and I do destroy them, I take and cut the line off of them, because that's a long line that's got a hook on the end of it, and that's what I use on drift socks and stuff. Works out really good. It's got the lines on them and everything, and works out really good. Jason Mathena just dropped a note in here, guys, not to interrupt this, that he has been told that Maple Island will not be open anytime in the next 2 years. And Maple Island is a boat ramp right below the Alton Dam, the Melvin Price Dam, just above St. Louis. I hadn't heard that. Thank you, Jason, for that. That'd be something. Let's see. I told her don't have the money to bulldoze off the mud off the ramp. Well, that may or may not be true then, but I know that it's a mess down there in Columbia Bottoms. It's terrible, and we're all bumming about that, because I think everybody's wanting to get down there and get into some fish. Of course, I bet Jackson's been into them. I know Jason's been fishing, but them guys, they got it made down there in the shade. They don't even realize how good they get. Well, they do too, because they rub it in all the time.
Oh, I just got a call from Athena a couple weeks ago, just bragging up the storm. So.
Yeah.
And me up here, we got nothing but hard water up here, so it's like, man.
Well, Justin Wolf is done with duck season now, and now I know that him and Jackson, they've been giving them ducks a fit all winter, so now it'd be a good time in their spare time to go down there with the shovel and clean off all them ramps, so we all got a place to get in and out.
That is a perfect idea.
I don't think you're going to get Jackson to do it. I'm not very certain you can get Justin Wolf to do it, but it's worth a shot.
Jackson's going to be sitting at the top of the ramp with a cooler in his lawn chair.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, it's been really fun having you on tonight, and we appreciate you coming in. I know you had a wonderful time in Hawaii, and that'd be a great vacation. I'm kind of envious, but after you told me some of the prices and stuff down there, I'm not really that envious.
Yeah. I looked at my wife and I said, this is quite a few trips to Wheeler. You realize that, right? So she goes, I know. So
Well,
But
it is, but that's probably a once in a lifetime trip. For you, it may be more than once in a lifetime. But if I was going to go down there, it'd only be once. I'm quite sure. What did you tell me a bag of potato chips cost down there? Just a regular old bag.
$7.
$7, yeah.
$7 for a bag of potato chips.
And a mixed
$3
drink.
gas.
A mixed drink was how much?
It's like $14-15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they have a lot of drunks running around down there?
No, actually,
I bet
there's
not.
a whole lot of gold diggers, though. I tell you that much.
That's everywhere, though. That's yeah. The prices you was talking about before the show. That's a little testy for the average old boy, but if you're only going to do it on one time or two times for a vacation, it'd be worth it. But I honest to God, don't know how them people live down there. I mean, and pay them kind of prices.
We talked to some people that they were there for 3 weeks.
Oh man!
And I mean, these people were doctors and lawyers, and
right.
Here I am. Yeah, little old me. I'm.
Yeah.
The reason we went is my father-in-law runs a shop, and what they had a buyback program to where if they buy so many parts, they get points for buying so many parts. So then that went towards the trip.
That's awesome.
So basically. Yeah, and then we had to pay for flight and then all the excursions and stuff, which was still pretty expensive. But I mean, like you said, we looked at it this way. How many times we're going to go to Hawaii? This is probably going to be the only one. So.
Well, we had. I used to go to Colorado and elk hunt pretty regularly, and one of the things you always stop and before you go over the Continental Divide, before you go over the Eisenhower Tunnel, you want to make sure you have an extra gallon of antifreeze, extra quart of oil. You don't know what's going to happen when you get over there. Mm-hmm. And I remember very distinctly you could buy a gallon of antifreeze before you went up that mountain for like $2.35, and it was $12 when you got on the other side. But anything they have to take over the mountains, it cost you triple. And gas was the same way. You always filled up before you went up there. You didn't want to be filling up while you was up there. And that's just like crossing that big water going to Hawaii. Once it crosses that water, they got to pay for what it takes to get it over there.
Oh well, I mean, everybody over there's, they can afford to go over there. So I mean,
that's right.
With me, I just sat back and enjoyed the show, because that's all it was.
Yeah,
they're all putting on a big show for each other. And,
yep.
Just sat back and relaxed and just laughed about the whole ordeal.
Yeah, give me one of them $6 beers and I'll be happy as can be.
You betcha.
Oh man, Chuck, you got any closing statements tonight?
No, I'm good tonight.
When is the Cabela's tournament down your way?
17th of March.
And
Mr. Cabela's.
When is Alabama Catfish Trails tournament down there?
I think it's the weekend before. It's the 12th.
Man, that would be a good pre-fishing tournament for the guys going to fish that Cabela tournament. It really would.
I could just move down there.
I think you and me have talked about that, haven't we?
Oh, yes, we have.
Phil, at this time, we always give everybody at the end of the show a chance to talk about any sponsors or anybody they want to thank or that's helped them along the way or anywhere. Feel free to take all the time you need to do that right now. We really appreciate you visiting with us tonight.
Okay. I appreciate you guys having me. And, I mean, it's just what you guys are doing for, the sport and getting everything out there. I appreciate that a lot because, I mean, it helps me. It's helped me out, watching your guys' show. I haven't been on the chat rooms a lot lately because we've got softball and basketball practice, and so I'm usually watching your guys' show on TV, smart TV, at 9, 10 o'clock at night. So, but as far as people thanking, my wife, I mean, she goes to a lot of tournaments with me, and she helps out quite a bit. If I do go out with with Josh or, sometimes my brother, she helps out with kids, and I really appreciate that for doing that. As far as sponsors go, Huck Performance Fishing, I like you said, Chuck, earlier, I looked outside the box and thought I'd give it a shot, and they picked us up as a sponsor. And I mean, I tell you what, I was in Hawaii wearing the long sleeve shirts, 80 degrees, and I wasn't sweating at all. And it's just because the stuff, it works because it keeps your body cool, plus it wicks the moisture from your body that, all sweat and everything. But
awesome.
Tangled Catfish rods, can't say enough about those guys. They picked us up this year. I mean, just the rods are unbelievable. I used to be a Surge guy, and ever since I switched to them, they're just sensitive, light to the tip. And then, of course, my father-in-law and my wife, Logan Automotive, they make sure I get to and from these tournaments, not only my boat trailer, my boat, and my car. Like you say, preventative maintenance is a huge deal, as far as flushing transmissions. I mean, they've made sure I can go, we've been averaging 10,000 miles a year just doing tournament fishing. So, I mean, they've played a big part in this. So, that's about all I got.
Well, that's awesome, and I know that I forget to do this, and Chuck does too, but probably not as much as me. But these women that let us do what we like to do so much, you can't say enough about them for doing it. I am very fortunate, and both of you guys are too. I know you are. That these women let us fish and go with us. Cindy fishes almost every tournament with me, and Leanne used to fish a lot with Chuck. Now I know she has some back issues right now, and I've seen pictures of you and your wife out fishing. I hope to get to meet her sometime. I've not made that yet, but one of these days it's going to happen. But these women give us a world of opportunity to do something we all love, and we need to make sure they understand how important it is to be able to do that, and it's just awesome. Alex Nagy has sent me a message and says that he can't post in the chat, which it was probably full. I think 50 is our limit. Andy Tapmeyer with the Department of Conservation has accepted the application for the March 5th Twisted Cat Outdoor Tournament at Sioux Passage. Benz, we can't use the Columbia Bottoms ramp, and for those who don't know, now I've never been to this ramp. I know it can't be very hard to find, and if you keep paying attention to the Catfish Weekly, well, I'm sure it'll be on Catfish Weekly too, but on Twisted Cat Outdoors, Alex will post it up here before long. The Sioux Passage ramp is right above Columbia Bottoms on the Missouri River. I think whenever you guys go up and down the Missouri River, you see that ramp over there on the left-hand side, and that's the ramp. I understand they have a huge parking lot, and I think you have to. I think you and I was talking about this earlier, Phil. You have to go through a park or something to get to it. Yeah. I've never used it, but it looks like we're going to get to have the tournament down there. We're all kind of concerned about that, so make sure that you guys get in line, and Alex will get all that information up for us as soon as it's everything finalized, and I'm sure he'll get us a little map or something, and that'll be great to get that tournament in. I know everybody's wanting to get out, and if we can get some decent weather, I think that the river is probably pretty fishable. I haven't been down there, for quite some time, but I think it'll be really good. Phil, again, thank you for joining us tonight. I have a couple other things. Next week, the 15th of February, Doc Lang is going to be on the show with us. I mean, that's going to be one of the great shows. Not that the rest of them haven't been great, but Doc Lang is kind of everybody's hero. I mean, he's had a website up that's taught most of us a lot of stuff about preparing boats and getting ready to fish tournaments and stuff like that, so it'll be really good. The 22nd, Morgan Blake will be on the show talking about catching flatheads from out west. That ought to be another great show. We've got some other stuff lined out, and I want to touch on one thing here for just a minute while we was on the subject about the women helping us out. And it's not just women. There's women that fish that have guys that support them in the sport too, and we are putting together a show Joyce Muse will be on the show with us. Jamie Mathena will be on the show with us. We got another one that I don't have that all wrote down yet, but we're going to have a show on what spouses do to support their catfishermen. And I really think that some of these ladies and people will be make a very interesting show, because a lot of them go to the tournaments. They don't fish, and maybe they get out and they fish just pre-fishing or whatever, and that'll be great. But a lot of these people, a lot of these women especially, don't even go to the tournaments. I've known Jason Mathena and Vicky for a long time, and I've been to a lot of tournaments there, and I've never met Jamie. Now, I'm friends with her on Facebook, and we talk a lot, and she supports Jason and Vicky as more than anybody I know, and she's a really swell lady, and this is going to be a great show, and we'll get to talking about their catfishing experiences. I'm not sure about Joyce, but I know Jamie's caught some giant blue cats with Jason down in St. Louis. Just absolutely monster. Some of them are bigger than she is. They look like in the pictures. So it's going to be a lot of fun to have that show up, and we'll try to get it set up in March. We've got some other stuff coming up, and either, I'm not sure if it's the 15th or the 22nd, but whatever day works for him, we'll take a few minutes and get Steve Douglas on here to get the final update for the Catfish Conference that's coming up the 27th. You guys all get prepared for that. It's going to be a great time down there. There's going to be seminars and every kind of fishing rod and hook and line and whatever. If it's in the catfishing industry, somebody's going to have some of it down there, and I think it'll be a great show. Anything else we need to talk about tonight, Chuck?
No, that's about it. You know, we got the Catfish Conference coming up here in a couple of weeks. That's going to be something I'm really looking forward to. So all the guys that can show up for that, they're going to be able to, you know, see all the stuff that's being introduced into the markets and all, and be able to see everything firsthand. So making these internet purchases won't be nearly as hard, knowing what you're going to be getting in the mail when you send that check.
Okay, I just got a message before we close out here. I got a message on my Facebook messaging that says that Illinois has run out of money to maintain the boat ramp, so Maple Island may be closed for pleasure boaters, everything, because they don't want them interfering with barge traffic. So that may very well be a fact. I thought maybe he was kidding about it, but it looks to me like it may very well be the truth, because they don't have the funding now to maintain the boat ramps and keep them cleared off and maintain to where they can be used safely. So bear that in mind, and let's hope that Missouri keeps all of our stuff upright and going and get that running. We got to be able to get in and out of them rivers. I mean, that's just all there is to it. There's too many people that use them, not just for catfishing, but for other type of recreation and sports, and we got to make sure that that's all done. So, unless you guys have something else, I think that'll about do it for tonight.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Thanks for being here, Phil. For Chuck Davidson, Phil Brown, I'm Lyle Stokes. We'll see you next week with Doc Lang. Good night, everybody.